In this lesson, I'll tell you about fillet and chamfer command with the help of this geometry. So here we have this cuboid, and on the top of this cuboid we have a cylinder. Both of these geometries are joined to each other. Now in order to create fillet or the rounded shapes around the corners, you need to select the fillet command from this solid tab and solid editing panel. So here you'll see on this flyout we have this fillet edge and chamfer edge. So let's first start with fillet edge command. Now once you select this fillet edge command, you'll see that your cursor changes to pick box, and now you can select the edges of this geometry. But before selecting the edges, let's change the radius. So let's click on this radius on command line and change our radius value to 0.5 units and press enter. Now we can select the edges. So let's go to this edge on this cuboid and select it, and here we have the radius applied to it. Now let's press enter once and you'll see a preview of this radius. If you are still not confident with this radius, then you can change its value further by clicking on this grip and manipulating it manually. So right now here is the grip. Let's click here and the radius is finalized. Let's press enter to accept the value. Now the radius has been changed for this fillet. Now let's go to fillet edge again, and this time let's apply the fillet on this top plane. So for that, let's click here and the previous value of 0.5 radius has been selected. Let's press enter and the fillet is applied. So you make sure that you press enter twice if you want to select the fillet settings. Let's go to fillet again and let's see some of the options which are available on command line. So we have already selected radius, which is 0.5. We are not going to change that. Now we have one more option, which is loop in this case. So let's select this loop and now click on this edge of the cuboid, and you'll notice that a blue bounding box will be added here. So all of these edges will be selected for filleting. Now let's say that we don't want this, we want this loop to be selected instead of this one. So for that we can click on this next, and the next loop will be selected. So this loop will be selected for applying the fillet. So if you're satisfied with this, press enter and the fillet will be applied on all of these corners or all of these edges, and press enter again to accept the change. Here is the fillet now. Let's press Ctrl Z to return back to the original condition, and now let's go to fillet edge again. This time let's go to this chain option. Now once you click on chain option and you click on any edge, then all the edges which are tangential to the existing edge will be selected. In this case, if I click on this edge is tangential to this edge by the help of this radius applied to this fillet, and this is tangential to this edge. So in this case, if I click on any of these three edges, then all of these three edges will be selected. But now this fourth edge is not tangential. They are at 90 degrees or perpendicular to each other, and here also they're perpendicular, so they will be not selected. So let's click on this edge and you'll notice that all of these three edges are selected for applying fillet. Now press enter and the fillet is applied directly on all of these edges. In a similar way, we can add chamfer to this geometry as well. So let's undo all of these changes. And here we have this geometry. Now from this flyout, select chamfer. And in case of chamfer, we need to specify distances. So let's click on distance now and specify the distance. The first chamfer distance, let's say it's 1 unit, and the second chamfer distance is 0.5 units. So we have a variable distance of chamfering here. Now let's select the edge on which we want to apply this, and here is the chamfer which is applied to this geometry. In this case, the distance of 1 unit is on this Z axis and the distance of 0.5 unit is on this Y axis. Let's press enter twice to accept the value. Now let's go to chamfer again, and this time I'll apply the chamfer on this edge. So let's select distance. In this case, we'll select a uniform distance of 1 unit for both the sides. So let's press 1 again, and now let's select this corner or this edge, and the chamfer is applied, and you can see the preview. Let's press enter once, and here is the chamfer. Now if you're not satisfied with the length of this chamfer or the distance applied, then you can modify it by these grips after pressing enter key once. So here is new distance, and here is the new distance which I have applied according to my requirement. Now press enter key again to accept the changes, and the new chamfer has been applied. You can use the same method of applying chamfer on more than one edge at once using the loop option. So here we have this loop option. Once we select loop, then all of the loops present in the drawing will be selected. For example, in this case, when we click on any of these edges, then this complete loop will be selected and all of these edges will have the chamfer which we'll apply now. So let's say that we want to apply the chamfer. Let's press enter, and here is the chamfer applied to it, which looks quite bizarre in this case because our big chamfer distance of 1 unit has been applied. So in this way we can apply chamfer for these geometries. You can apply chamfer for this point where both of these objects are joining each other. So now let's press Ctrl Z to undo all these changes. And let's select chamfer edge again. And this time I'll apply the chamfer on this edge. But before that, let's select the chamfer distance and change it to 0.5 units for both the sides. And now let's click on this edge and press enter. And you'll see that the chamfer is now applied to this. In a similar way, you can apply fillet as well on this type of edge where both of these geometries are joining. So let's select a radius after selecting fillet. So I'm applying a radius of 0.5 units, and let's click on this edge and press enter twice to accept the value, and the fillet has been applied on both of these, in between both of these geometries. So this was all about fillet and chamfer command of AutoCAD. In the next lesson I'll tell you about shell command in AutoCAD 3D.